One of the scariest moments in your life? When you're having a job interview. I'm Marty Nemko. I'm contributing columnist at Kiplinger's, and I'm going to share some secrets to make sure that yours is the winning interview. First key to a winning job interview? Energy. It's shallow, but it's amazing how shallow employers actually are. If you come in like this, even if you're saying great content, yes, I have a PhD from Harvard, you're still going to seem half dead, even if you're not. You must, I don't want you to be a phony, but what I want you to do is think about your normal range of energy. We all have a range where sometimes we're more laconic, sometimes we're more animated. Be at the top of your range, and that will make all the difference. One of the scariest and often the very first questions you get asked is, tell me about yourself. Well, the reality is that the biggest mistake you could make was starting how you were born in Topeka and da-da-da-da-da. What you want to answer is you want to tell the things about yourself that are most likely to impress that interviewer. So let's say you're applying for a job as a systems analyst. And say, well, I first developed my interest in systems analysis when I was at Illinois Tech University, and I met this professor who had this part-time job as a systems analyst. You start with that. Then you talk about the next thing, and you keep it to under 60 seconds. That's critical to getting your interview off to a great start. One of the most frequently asked questions in a job interview: tell me about your strengths. Well, if you do, this is a bad answer. Well, I believe I'm a self-starter and a team player, and I believe I delight in exceeding the customer expectations. Bad, bad, bad. It's cliched, it seems like BS, you don't want to do it. Your employer, the person who's interviewing you, is starting out thinking you're probably likely to BS. There's a lot of BS in the job interviews. And the antidote to that is stories. True stories about a problem you faced, how you approached it, and its positive resolution. That's a PAR story. Problem, approach, resolution. Example. Well, when I was working for Hewlett-Packard, we once had a problem where the system was we had an ancient system, and we couldn't figure out how to get it to work. So what I did was I reviewed all of the options, both on the internet. I interviewed everybody in the company, and we came out with a system, and it was about 3 years ago, and they're still using it today. The problem, how I approached it, positive resolution, that's the key to answering the question, what are your greatest strengths? The worst moment in any job interview is when they ask you that hard question. Oh no, what am I going to do now? Here is a secret. Always, when they ask you a hard question, make your answer short. There's a tendency when you're asked a hard question to try to dig your way out by giving a long answer. Well, you know what happens when you do that? Then a larger proportion of the interview is spent on that which you don't want to talk about. It's the opposite. Marty Nemko's rule of thumb. Short answers to hard questions, longer answers to easy questions. The final tip that I want to offer you about how to make your job interview the winning one: what to respond when they say, well, do you have any questions for us? Don't just say, when do I start? Or don't just say, where do they serve lunch? Here is my favorite question to ask. Say, while I've been quite honest with you and admitted that I've never been a systems analyst before, I've tried to explain how my previous experience would make me qualified. Do you think I could do this job well? The reason that's such a great question is if they have an objection, they will bring it up, and it gives you a chance to respond. If they have doubts and you haven't had a chance to respond, you may have nixed yourself. And that's my final tip. And those are my very favorite tips on how to have a winning job interview. For Kiplinger's, I'm Marty Nemko.